Yo, what is up guys? It's your boy IzuKage here with the finale for What If Naruto Had God Key. I say finale with sadness in my heart. You all love this series and so did I. So we'll be finishing off with a bang, and for those who've been asking me to give Naruto key abilities, you're in luck. Anyways, I hope you guys going to enjoy the What If. So last time we left off with Naruto and Samui growing a stronger bond. They actually end up living together and training in the Leaf. But while the Leaf was prospering, many were plotting against it. One such ninja, Orochimaru. Orochimaru was grooming Sasuke to eventually take over his body and exact his revenge on Hiruzen and the entire Leaf village. But only one thing could stop him, Naruto Uzumaki. From the story Sasuke told Orochimaru, he was creating a plan to defeat Naruto, and finally he has. So right now it's about 2.5 years since the Chunin exams, and Orochimaru had made Sasuke very strong. First thing was he transplanted Fugaku's eyes into Sasuke, which he had laying around, giving Sasuke the Susanoo, as well as many lightning abilities. So just think of Shippuden Sasuke during the fight with Itachi. He's at that strength level. So one day Orochimaru called Sasuke into his lab. Sasuke saw Orochimaru mixing stuff in his test tubes but said, "Master Orochimaru, you called me." He turned around and said, "Oh yes, Sasuke, the time has finally come." Hearing this, Sasuke's eyes widened and he said, "Do you mean it? Am I strong enough?" And Orochimaru said, "Yes, I believe so, but I have one last thing." Sasuke bowed and said, "Anything, master." Orochimaru smiled. Seems the obedience drug he gave Sasuke has been working perfectly. So Orochimaru went back to the table and took up a syringe. He stabbed it into his bicep, injecting the fluid, and Orochimaru gritted his teeth. The veins began bulging out of his arms, about to burst. But he pulled it out and he dropped to his knees, sweating bullets. He thought, "Damn, that was more painful than I thought." Sasuke was worried and asked if everything was alright. Orochimaru saw in a shard of glass that his hair was turning blonde, and he had a sinister smile. He said, "Everything was perfect. You can go now." Sasuke was still hesitant but went to walk out of the room. While he was walking out, Orochimaru got up and weaved a series of hand signs and said, "Mind prison." And he held up his palms towards Sasuke, and as he was walking he froze and his arms went limp. Orochimaru saw a seal appear in his palm and knew that it worked. He walked up to Sasuke and began waving his hands in front of his eyes, checking if he was still conscious, and like planned, he wasn't. His eyes were completely pale, similar to a Hyuga's. Orochimaru then began stage 2 of his plan. Now that Sasuke's consciousness is trapped within his own mind, when he does the mind transfer jutsu, his consciousness will transfer to Sasuke's body, but Sasuke's will stay locked away in his own mind. So Orochimaru again did some hand signs and said, "Mind transfer jutsu." And like he had planned, he took control of Sasuke's body. He looked at his arms and legs and had a creepy smile and thought, "Now it's time for you, Naruto Uzumaki." Back at the Leaf Village, Naruto was walking with Samui to get some ramen. While walking, kids were passing by and they stopped to say hi, and even adults were doing the same thing. You see, people had started to think highly of Naruto. After all, he saved so many lives, even the Hokage's life. So when Naruto was about to enter Teiuchi's shop, a random girl came up to Naruto. She was about his age and said, "Oh my god, Naruto, we are forever in your debt. If there was only anything I could do to repay you," while rubbing her hand against Naruto's chest. Before Naruto could even say anything though, Samui came up and said, "Back off," and pushed the girl away. The girl was about to get mad, but when she looked, Samui unsheathed her short sword ready to fight. Naruto got between the two and said, "Calm down, let's just have something to eat." Samui reluctantly agreed and they both entered the shop. So they get the usual, and while in the middle of their meals, Naruto hears screams coming from outside. He quickly runs out and sees a massive dust cloud in the distance. Naruto enters his God Key form and flies over to check it out. When he gets overhead, he couldn't believe it. He saw Sasuke? He was using his skeletal Susanoo to tear down building after building. Naruto had to act quickly. He flew max speed towards him, and Orochimaru saw Naruto coming and he tried to block the attack, using the Susanoo to cross both his arms, and when Naruto punched it, he went flying into the inner walls of the Leaf Village. Orochimaru looked up and Naruto was not letting up. He came in with another punch, sending him through the wall. Orochimaru landed on his feet, and as Naruto was about to hit him again, he shouted, "Amaterasu!" Black flames shot towards Naruto too fast to dodge, so as the flames hit Naruto, his body exploded into a puff of smoke, leaving a log. Orochimaru thought, "What? Substitution." Then a voice spoke. Funny how the most basic jutsu are the most useful. Orochimaru spun around trying to find where the voice was coming from, and he said, "Come out and stop hiding." Then from behind a tree, Naruto walked out and he said, "Looking for me?" Orochimaru rage filled his eyes and he said, "Just die." Lightning began to cover his hands and he said, "Chidori," and he sprinted towards Naruto and shoved the Chidori right through his chest. Orochimaru said, "Ha! Got you." But Naruto was still smiling and said, "No, got you." And Naruto turned into a mass of red lightning, and this far surpassed the Chidori. This lightning clone electrocuted Orochimaru, stunning him, and he fell to the ground. Now unable to move, the real Naruto walked out and said, "Long time no see, Sasuke. Don't you think I deserve a high before our first fight?" Sasuke, or in this case Orochimaru, said, "I'm not Sasuke." Naruto raised an eyebrow to this and said, "Then who are you?" But before he could respond, Tsunade and her group of Anbu arrived on scene, and with her, Sakura. On seeing Sasuke, tears began flowing from Sakura's eyes. She tried getting to him, but Tsunade held her back. She said, "Anbu, capture the rogue." And they sprung in, placing chakra-restricting seals and binding seals on him. Later, Sasuke was taken into a holding cell where ninjas more experienced with seals placed some on his eyes. So later that day, a council meeting was called for what to do with Sasuke Uchiha. Present at the meeting were the heads of prominent clans in the Leaf, the elders, of course the Hokage, and the members of Team 7. To start off, the elders spoke. "We see the best action is to kill Sasuke Uchiha for his crimes against the Leaf." Immediately Tsunade shot down the idea, but they came in with facts. The male elder said, "So Tsunade, you wish to go against the law of your grandfather, the great Hashirama Senju? The law is that all rogue ninjas that pose a danger to the village shall be captured and killed." And he brought up the old scroll that Hashirama himself wrote. Tsunade was pressed and she had no idea what to say, but Shikaku spoke up. He said, "We could do that, or perhaps use Sasuke for his intelligence on our enemies. We could have Inoichi and his team probe his mind for information." The elders were dissatisfied with the idea, but a vote was casted and everyone except them agreed. So after the meeting, Sakura took a sigh of relief and Naruto gave her a pat on the back, saying she shouldn't worry, Sasuke will get back to us. Sakura couldn't hold in the tears and hugged Naruto and began to cry. Naruto just softly patted her on the head until she calmed down. So now we're at the start of Naruto Shippuden. Inoichi and his team started looking through Sasuke's memories, but for those who aren't aware, this process takes a very long time to get anything useful. So let's switch focus to Tsunade. She was filling out paperwork in her office when news came. A ninja came into her office with a letter from the sand. They had been attacked and the Kazekage abducted. Hearing the news, she sent for Team 7, Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi, but Samui tagged along. She isn't a part of Team 7, but she just doesn't leave Naruto's side. Tsunade told them what happened to Gaara, but more importantly she said, "This is the start of something big. If it's as Jiraiya predicted, the Akatsuki will be going after All-Tail Beast." Samui's eyes widen. All-Tail Beast, so that means Killer Bee and Yugito as well. Once Tsunade gave Team 7 their mission, Samui begged Naruto for them to go to the Cloud Village and warn the people. He kept refusing, but those puppy dog eyes, man, they always win. So Naruto came up with a plan. He would create a clone that would go with Kakashi and Samui, and another clone to stay back to wait for Inoichi's team to decipher all the information. And since Naruto's clones are really strong, it would take a lot to dissipate them. So Naruto used his teleportation to take him and Samui to the cloud, while his clone did the same and took Kakashi and Sakura to the sand. Once they got to the entrance of the sand, they saw a team of medical ninjas rushing Kankuro inside. So they followed them, but the guards stopped them and they simply explained their mission from Tsunade, and the guards let them in. So these events go similar to canon, with Lady Chiyo thinking Kakashi is the White Fang, when in fact he's just his son, and Sakura helps nurse Kankuro back to health using her practice from Tsunade to help heal him, or create an antidote I should say. Once they had settled down, Naruto, Sakura and Kakashi began to plan on how they would go after the Akatsuki. Kakashi had an idea of using the piece of fabric Kankuro took from Sasori to track them down with his Ninken, but Naruto had a new ability he wanted to test out. He can focus in on someone's chakra signature and teleport to them. Before, Naruto just needed a general image of the place he wanted to go to and he was there, but now he can have pinpoint accuracy using this technique. So Naruto told Sakura and Kakashi to simply hold his hand, and Naruto began to meditate. Since they teleported to the sand, they're a whole 3 days early, so neither Deidara or Sasori had made it to the caves as of yet, and he was still in range. So locking onto his signature, Naruto teleported them to him and they appeared in front of Sasori. At first, he was caught off guard and he quickly whipped out his metallic tail. Sakura surprisingly was the first to rush in. She used her chakra in her feet to increase speed, rapidly dodging all his attacks as she got closer. She punched the ground, knocking him off balance, which gave her the time to get in combat range, and she punched the puppet, sending wood bits flying, and this revealed the inside. A red-haired boy wearing the Akatsuki robe. This had to be taken seriously. But while they were doing that, let's switch to Naruto and Samui. They appeared in front of the gates, catching the attention of the guards, and they both pulled out kunais and said, "Stop right there." One pointed a kunai to Naruto and said, "State your business." But the other said, "Wait, Samui, is that you?" And she said, "In the flesh." And the guy said, "Oh, we're so sorry, we didn't know you were coming back." She said, "It's fine. Notify the Raikage that I'm in the village and give this to him." Samui then gave the ninja a piece of paper. He bowed and jumped off towards the Raikage's office. So they enter the village and Samui takes Naruto to the training ground that B is always writing his rhymes and, training. So they get there and like usual, B is there and Samui chuckles slightly, thinking, seems some things never change. So they approach Killer B to explain the situation and they told him about the capture of the One-Tails and all the information Jiraiya had managed to gather. Once they finished explaining, the Raikage arrived and he said, "Naruto, I hope you've been taking good care of Samui." Naruto nodded in agreement, then he went beside B. The Raikage said, "We'll need to come up with a plan to keep you, Yugito, and B here safe." For Killer B's dialogue, I'm just not gonna rhyme. I tried it in a previous What If Naruto but failed horrendously, so let's not do that. B says, "So you have any ideas when these Akatsuki guys are coming?" Naruto shrugged and said, "If they start with the One-Tails, then they must be going in order." And B said, "So that means the cloud is next." The Raikage sends an Anbu to go call Yugito. Meanwhile, from the top of a nearby building, a creature that's half black and half white was surveying the area before morphing back into the building, disappearing. This thing re-emerged in a dark cave surrounded by more ninjas, and one spoke. "So did you find them, Zetsu?" Zetsu said yes, and it seems like we'll be able to bag 3 Jinchuriki with one go. Pain spoke to the whole group. "Alright, if the rumors of the God of the Leaf, Naruto Uzumaki, are to be believed, we'll be launching a full-scale attack on the Hidden Cloud." A man with fish gills and a massive sword said, "Well, Deidara and Sasori haven't arrived. They should have been here by now. Maybe they failed their mission." Pain said, "We can capture the One-Tails at a later date. The bigger problem is the 9th. One doesn't get triple S rank in the bingo book for nothing." And the group went silent. So we go back to Naruto's clone, and they took down Sasori and caught up with Deidara before he got to the cave. Kakashi managed to successfully use Kamui and took both his arms, but as we know, Deidara can still use his own mouth, so Naruto stepped in using lightning release, which is a natural weakness to Deidara's clay, and finished him off. With Gaara recovered, they took him back to the sand where they were praised, and eventually Team 7 returned to the Leaf and Naruto's clone dispelled. Back with Naruto, he just received all the clone's memories. Samui and Naruto were in a temporary apartment, and she saw him smile a bit and asked what's wrong. Naruto explained to her the details of the Gaara retrieval mission. It was a lot to take in, but she got it. Samui sat down next to Naruto and said, "I was wondering, why don't you use your tail beast chakra? I always see Bee and Yugito using theirs." And Naruto said, "Oh, that damn fox, I took care of him years ago, I just haven't had a reason to use it." Samui's face palms, thinking that's something Naruto would do, and she said, "Let's just get some rest, we're patrolling tomorrow." And he said okay, and they sleep together for the next day. The next day, Anbu as well as Jonin are patrolling the border to the Cloud Village. Naruto is at the main gate, and he's thinking maybe he should settle down with Samui. Being Hokage sounds like a lot of work. As he's thinking this, a girl with orange hair and strange piercings is walking from the forest. Naruto then saw the Akatsuki robe and immediately went on the offensive, but she didn't come any closer. She weaved hand signs and slammed her hand into the ground, summoning the other paths of pain as well as Obito. The smoke from the summoning alerted the ninjas on guard, and the Raikage, Bee, and Samui showed up. Pain walked up to them and said, "Hand over your Jinchuriki and I'll leave peacefully." The Raikage shouted, "Like I'll ever do that." And Pain said, "Well, your demise will be swift. Almighty push." This created a repulsive force, pushing back all the ninjas as well as destroying some of the buildings. When the dust settled, Pain saw that Naruto was still standing, seemingly unfazed by the attack, and he said, "So you must be Naruto of the Leaf. You are strong, but not strong enough." Naruto shouted now, and the Raikage came in with his lightning cloak, and Pain tried dodging, but Naruto pointed his hands towards Pain, generating a circular flow of energy surrounding him and making him unable to move. This move, called Godbind. The Raikage came in at max speed and went to punch Pain, but the chakra absorbing path jumped in, but the Raikage's cloak fried it from the inside out. It got back and Naruto released Pain. Pain called for Obito, and from a swirling pattern, Obito appeared, or in this case, Tobi. Pain said, "Bring out the girl." And again, Tobi used his Kamui and out came Samui. Naruto's eyes widened as he looked behind him and he didn't see her. Naruto shouted, "Let her go now!" And Pain said, "Finish her, Tobi." He shoved the kunai through her back, coming all the way through her chest, and Tobi laughed and said, "You still want her? Well, have her." And he threw Samui's body at Naruto. Naruto fell to his knees. He looked at Samui. Her eyes were opened with tears. She said, "I love you." Naruto gritted his teeth. Why? How? He was too damn careless. While he was on the ground, Pain said, let's finish this, and his paths as well as Toby ran towards Naruto. He slowly got up and bent his knees. The aura of God Ki was emitting from his body, but it was ominous. The Cloud Ninjas felt chills running up their backs and the sky grew dark. Naruto pulled his arms back and said, a massive red orb shot towards Pain and they couldn't dodge. The move engulfed them, completely disintegrating their bodies, sending them into the wind. Rage still filled Naruto's heart and he disappeared from the Cloud Village and reappeared in front of the frail Nagato. Naruto called on the Kyuubi's chakra and his cloak was red. Naruto pointed his palms towards Konan and Nagato. He began to charge the attack. Konoha tried attacking him, but the arms of the Kyuubi cloak were blocking all of them. Naruto shot a ball of pure energy towards Nagato, and on impact it expanded, killing them both. Naruto walked out of the hiding spot and said, "This isn't over, so I'll end it now." Naruto flew up into the air and back at the leaf, Naruto had a clone there to be ready when Inoichi's team got the necessary information. So they located Orochimaru's base, but it wouldn't be worth going to since Orochimaru killed everyone in the base since he had completed his whole goal of capturing Sasuke and getting his body. The clone dispersed, sending the information to Naruto, and from it, he got the location of the Akatsuki. Since Orochimaru's conscience was in Sasuke's body, they probed his memory as well. So Naruto went to make sure that no remnant of the Akatsuki remained. He went to all the bases and used ki attacks to completely destroy them from the air. Naruto mainly did this to release some steam. No matter what he does though, he won't get Samui back. Naruto teleported back to the cloud and he was expecting Samui to still be there, but she wasn't. Actually, no one was. He closed his eyes and began to focus and felt her chakra signature. Wait, she's alive? Naruto teleported to the signature and Samui was in the hospital recovering. Since she wasn't dead, the medical ninjas used all their knowledge to help her. From the door, the Raikage, B, and Yugito walked in. They came into Naruto and bowed. The Raikage said, "You have saved my life twice now. Now you have protected my entire village. Naruto, we are forever in your debt." Naruto said, "Just consider it a favor." Yugito said, "Take care of her for me," referring to Samui, and Naruto nodded. So the three left and Naruto stayed by Samui's bedside until she woke up. Samui opened her eyes and saw Naruto sleeping on her. She struggled to sit up, but she couldn't hold back the tears and smiled. Naruto felt all the movement and he got up to check if everything was okay, and on seeing Samui, Naruto basically jumped onto her, hugging her, the tightest he'd ever before. Samui said, "Easy, you're gonna kill me." And Naruto said, "Oh, my bad. It's just good to see you. And don't ever die on me again," giving her a playful punch on the shoulder. And Samui said, "Well, don't let me die." And the two got closer and kissed. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. I really like that end. If you guys want, when I make this into a movie, I could add more sort of going into Boruto territory. But for now, that's the finale. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, like, and if you like my content in general, subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.